this is approved reading. This is in the high school and the schools.
In what curriculum of our school is that included?
This is in the libraries of the high school and is approved by the state. And this is the book that's within.
It's not in the curriculum. My understanding is that that book is not in the curriculum of any of our classes.
You can interrupt anybody now?
Well, I'm asking a factual question. Are you aware of a place where it's in the curriculum that I'm not aware of?
I am aware these are in the high schools. These are
they're in the library.
They're in the library.
That's right. Would you care to describe what the book is to the audience?
I would love to do that. Thank you for the invitation. I will read excerpts from the book.
No, actually, our policy doesn't include banning things on the basis of excerpts. Our policy includes the possibility of challenging works in their entirety, in their value as a work. Would you like to address what the overall work is about before you move to try?
Ma'am, you seem to be educated. Please continue for my comments.
I'm telling you that if you would like to tell us about the book, you will need to start with telling us what the book is about instead of simply going to excerpted pieces.
I will read in here what I have found in the book to be offensive.
Okay.
So it has cartoon such characters as you see within the book. And it states in here, they whip me with thick electrical cables so much that the looks of my feet are anything but a foot. Amid was assassinated as a member of the guerrillas. He suffered hell. He always had cyanide on him in case he was arrested, but he was taken by surprise, and unfortunately he was never had a chance to use it. He suffered the worst of tortures, and it shows him being whipped, beaten, and burned with an iron. Further on into the book, it states in here,
we've not introduced what the book is about. We're now talking about scenes from the book.
Ma'am, if I may finish my comments, I'll wrap the whole thing so everyone understands.
We're going to allow public comments to continue.
Okay, I just think it's misleading to discuss excerpts from a book without mentioning what the book is about.
Well, let's allow him to finish his comments.
Okay.
Iraq MiGs have bombed Tehran. No, the bastards. Those assholes. They insulted me. They said that women like me should be pushed up against the wall and then thrown in the garbage.
Okay, I'm going to...
You're offended by the work and what I just spoke. This is in the high school library. Now, as I spoke about talking about morality and teaching of morality to our children, how can the board expect students to conduct themselves with these values that's mandated by law to be taught? Yet they are reading this. Now, if this is in a college level library, I have no issue with it. They're young adults, they have the ability to choose. But when we talk about the graphics of torture, we talk about disparaging the United States government, we talk about these vile things in the book, I do not believe our high school students or any other student within the district that has access to that library has the ability, without this being instructed in a classroom, to understand the contents of the book. This book does represent the travel of a woman from Iran to the United States and the horrors that she suffered in war. But when you talk about high school students and our expectations that they don't use the language in this book in the hallway of the classroom, what type of a double standard is being set for the students? What type of confusing message is being set for the students if they can walk into the library, check this out, and then just read it without any type of educational instruction as to the contents? Have they been given the skills necessary to understand what it's about? That's my concern. Now, if this is on a college campus, I have no issue with it. Here in the Three Rivers School District, not being in the curriculum and not being given the surrounding understanding of what it means, that's an issue. Thank you.
I'd like to address the room and explain that this is a book written by a young woman who lived through the Iranian Revolution. She is telling the story of what happened to herself and her family. The scene of torture is a description of the due process and rights of a political prisoner having been removed from him. There is nothing in that book that would imply that anything good is happening there or that someone should ally themselves with that. It is the only book I have ever seen that teenagers have ever read to understand the Iranian Revolution, the fall of the Shah, our involvement in that country. And we have another book in our school library where a man is dressed in a crown of thorns and whipped. And then he is nailed to a cross. And I will never stand for you taking that book out of our school library. What? And I do not believe that there is anything in that book that a high school student cannot understand in context. And I think that that is an excellent book.
Okay, up next we have Dale Matthews.
I'm disappointed because you have unlimited time, basically, that you would allow one of your board members to constantly interrupt a person who had gotten up to speak to you, who's come all the way here to talk to you. And sorry, Mr. Chair, but it is up to you to say, now, hold on a second. And you did, finally. But I'm impressed by what happens when people come forward to speak. They may be full of beans, but I think they should get a chance to speak. I don't think he is in this case. I've seen it at the Board of County Commissioners where I was stopped 7 times in 3 minutes. I think it's a bad trend. And when you see that happening from people within the county, I would jump all over it. Thank you.
So I have a young child, nowhere near high school age at this point, but what I heard about the book and the fact that I personally feel that that is a parent's choice, and if my son came home, and I'm sorry, my blood is boiling, if my son came home with that book, I would have no choice but to take my own position on it, and that position may or may not be, in my case it would be, to explain how much I disagree with the school that he is supposed to trust to get his education from. You're undermining parents by allowing that student to take that out without getting the parent's approval. If you insist on having it, then it needs to be something that's approved by the parent. I would literally pull my child out of your school. And I think it's ridiculous that people can say, you have to understand the context. Kids are going to see, say, hear, kids abuse, kids do things these days because they can get anything on the internet. It doesn't need to come from school. And I am extremely disappointed that anybody would even go against or be disrespectful to somebody who, as a parent, has the choice to say what their child should or shouldn't see. And especially if it's not on curriculum, it's just something that they can just come home, and at that point, you're going to have to tell them the school's wrong, or whatever your position is, like I said, and at this point, tell your student, that the parent would have to tell the student that they disagree completely and wholeheartedly with the school that they're supposed to trust to get their education. Anybody have anything to say?
I actually do. We've actually addressed this book a couple of times, and I'm appalled as well that this book is in our public library, and it was given to us by the state of Oregon as an approved book on the Battle of the Books readers list. But I just want to tell you parents that are concerned with it that there is a procedure in our district, and you just simply need to fill out a complaint form. And I believe the way the procedure goes is our superintendent or curriculum director will address that complaint form and make the decision to pull the book out of our schools or not. If they choose not to pull it out of our schools, it will then come before the board. And I would hope the board would vote to pull any book like that out of our schools. So there's a procedure, and we should follow it. I would encourage each of you to follow it that aren't happy with it.
I appreciate your comments, and I really think that it's important. People who have opinions should understand that you have your own children. Take your opinions with your own children, your own family. Don't put them online.
When there was a previous speaker, and your name is Kate Dwyer, and you're a board member, yes. And you're the superintendent, Mr. Holmes. Yes. Well, I'm kind of ashamed to have attended a meeting that's important like this, and the speaker got up because he cared about the student or students, and he was immediately not only interrupted, but I would say browbeat. And I watched the faces of each of you, and I saw that you had a little bit of reaction, I guess because you're the chair. But I believe that every one of you owes this man an apology, especially you, Mrs. Dwyer.
Would you like a response?
No, I think you ought, I don't really want you to respond because you already stated where your attitude is. But that is inappropriate in a public meeting where you're inviting people to make comments because they're there for a child.
He's going to respond anyway.
I'm trying to clarify that.
And especially so the superintendent, I think it's like it seems very flat, and it's wrong. It's wrong. And what you do when you pass this by and protect somebody who's rude like this, you intimidate the people that want to be active and want to be involved in their kids' lives. Nobody comes and sits here because they don't love their kids or love the kids that they're teaching. This isn't a job. It's a responsibility. And it's huge for you to be that rude because it tells where you're coming from when you make decisions that are behind, what do you call it, behind closed doors. Are you going to apologize to the gentleman?
Actually, no. I'm sorry if people think that I was being rude. It was not my intention to be rude. It was my intention to get a clarification for the audience about what book we were discussing and what the book was about.
I think you do not get it.
No, I guess that I don't. I was trying to understand, to have the audience understand what it was that was being discussed before we delved into the level of detail. And I do apologize if that was misunderstood and I was a little heated about it. For that, I certainly do apologize. However, I don't apologize for trying to seek a clarification so that the people in the room understood what was being discussed.